That was your first financial red flag, was the balance sheet, right?
Yeah.
Having too much debt. So tell us about the next one.
So the second financial flag is going to be on your income statement, and
Okay.
it's going to be a little bit of a calculation depending on how you pay yourself.
And you said that the income statement is the same as your P&L, right? So if they know it as
Yes,
P&L, same thing. Okay.
same thing. Sorry, income statement's the accounting term, so it's what I default to.
Okay.
But QuickBooks and Xero, a lot of that will usually call it your profit and loss statement, your
Okay.
P&L. The owner's compensation. I'm going to bet almost everyone listening to this is not paying themselves enough.
100% I will agree with you, because it's like my mission in life is to make the wedding industry pay themselves enough money.
If you're paying yourself by payroll, it's going to be on your P&L and you'll see it in the payroll. If you are not, then we're going to see it in our balance sheet when
Okay.
we look at equity. In your balance sheet, you have assets, you have liabilities, and then you have this whole section called equity. And
Okay.
that's where the money you've put in and the money you've taken out shows up.
Okay.
And if you're paying yourself through what we call profit distributions, if you are still a sole proprietor, you're running everything through personal taxes, then you're going to take cash out and it's a profit distribution. That will show on your balance sheet. Either way, I want you to take however much money you are paying yourself and compare it to your revenue number.
Okay.
If you are less than 50%, usually is what I like to see clients aim for.
Okay.
If you're less than 50%, then you really want to look at your expenses and
Okay.
the revenue generating expenses.
Okay.
And I don't want everyone to think if I'm not paying myself anything right now, I need to be at 50%.
Right.
That is the goal. If you're not paying yourself anything right now, I don't know if you guys have talked about it on the podcast, but I'm a huge Profit First fan. So if you are
Yes.
not paying yourself at all, go set up that profit bank account and set up 1%. Just start at
Yes.
1%.
Okay.
So when I say 50%, this is that 50% of that kind of net profit generating number.
Okay. That's actually helpful to know, because I'm sitting here thinking, I tell my students to have a goal of 30%, but I'm taking it off of gross revenue.
Yes. So I'm sorry. I'm taking that net. So if you have a team,
Yep.
if you have costs that go into generating profit, generating
Yes.
revenue,
Okay.
you want 50% of that net number
Got it.
should be going to you, and the other 50% goes to paying the bills.
I love it. Okay. So that makes sense though, because those should be around the same number, that we're talking the same dollars
Yes.
here. And so just in case, I always want to make sure that if there's anybody listening and this is just one step above and they're just getting like, what's happening? I want to just take it back for a second. So your gross revenue is literally like, you sold this much in revenue, right? So it's like, I sold
The
$100,000
cash that came
this
in the
year.
door.
Yep, literally the cash that hit your bank account in that time period. Your net revenue is after your expenses, except for yourself, right? After your expenses, that's going to be your net revenue. And what Danielle's talking about is your goal is to pay yourself 50% of that net revenue. Is that correct?
Yes, and when we're saying expenses, we're talking about those revenue generating expenses,
Great.
not
Okay.
the keep the lights on expenses.
Okay, that's helpful to know, actually. Okay, that's great. That's perfect.
So that is the second red flag. That's going to be the big one of, first of all, let's build a habit of paying yourself. If you are not paying yourself, this is where I love Profit First. Just build the habit. We are
Yes.
all creative people. If you're running a business, you are smart, you're creative, you know how to think outside of the box. You might just need to challenge yourself to do it.
Yes.
And making sure you pay yourself is a huge part of that.
Oh, that's so good. And yeah, just the habit of it. Just even if it's like Danielle said, if it's a tiny amount of money, it doesn't matter. Just get in the habit of it. And as you grow, it will grow with you, which is amazing. Thankfully, my mom was a business owner before I started my business. And so she really impressed on me that, like, from day one, you have to pay yourself. And it was, I want to say I paid myself like $18,000 for years. And it wasn't much money. It certainly was not much coming into our household, but it got me in the habit from the beginning that I had to make. I was an expense of my business, is basically where it was, is that I am an expense. And if I were to get hit by a bus tomorrow, someone would have to get paid to do my jobs.
Yep.
And they're probably not going to do it for 18,000, but at least the habit was there.